G'day there, Vibers, and anybody else who might happen to stumble upon this video due to the title or just seeing a guy in a suit. Thanks for following along. If this is the first time you've been in, feel free to like and subscribe and check out my other videos, because this isn't my typical video, but I kind of wanted to come up with some plans of my own that are off of YouTube, so you have a better idea of why I've started YouTube. To those of you who have been following along, thanks a lot. I really do appreciate the support. To anybody who's coming across this video and who hasn't seen me on YouTube yet or has no clue who I am, I'm John from the Ottawa Valley Vibes YouTube channel. And to give you a heads up, if you do like and subscribe or look through my videos, you'll notice typically not wearing a suit and tie. There is one other video, however, this is my second video, but for the sake of the topic I wanted to discuss, I figured it'd be better to maybe dress up a bit and look a little more professional for anybody new coming in. But I wanted to discuss some dreams and aspirations, as you may have told by the title. Sorry about that, my phone rang. So I had to kind of edit this into a spliced video, didn't intend for that to happen. Now, like many of us, I'm sure you included, I wouldn't say I'd say most people. I think most people, if not all people, have had dreams or aspirations throughout their life, probably from a younger age. And I think for many of us, as we grow older, those dreams and aspirations change. Um, Whether it's just becoming more prudent and realizing maybe this isn't something you want to do. Maybe it's, same difference, being more prudent, but also realizing other things you'd prefer to do. Maybe it was financially caused. Perhaps it was like myself. Um, when I was younger, I honestly really wanted to become a paramedic. Maybe work up the doctor from there, but when I was younger, I actually wanted to be a paramedic. And I did a lot of research into paramedics and medical science and stuff like that. My father used to be an EMT, or an emergency medical technician, alongside his father, which was a full-blown paramedic. And they actually ran a business together before I was born, granted. So I had a pretty steady collection of books I could read from, whether it was paramedic training books or paramedic related books. My dad had, actual books from the Canadian Medical Association that I've actually personally seen in doctors' offices on medical sciences. I've seen, a lot of different encyclopedias. I have a collection of my own medical encyclopedias, even. Um, Unfortunately for myself, I'm hard of hearing, which I know sounds like that shouldn't affect you being a paramedic, and it shouldn't. Unfortunately, because my parents did move around fair enough, we ended up landing in a small town where we are now. And unfortunately, this town back then in the 90s wasn't a very, how would you say, well expanded town by this point. And not to sound terrible, but it was predominantly white. There were a few colored people, there were. But it was very in the past mindset in this town when we first moved here that I had noticed. And because of my hearing disability and having some communication issues with the teachers, they assumed that I had, what's a good way to say this? Delayments or some kind of special needs. I don't know what they thought, but by grade 2 I was in special ed, because I moved here part of the way through senior kindergarten. And unfortunately, I don't know if my parents didn't communicate it to the school properly or if they just wouldn't listen, but I know I communicated to the teachers and that I have a hearing disability, and every teacher I told, they're like, no, you don't. Show me a doctor's note. Oh, why didn't your parents, blah, blah, blah. So they just assumed I'm, of course, just a kid coming up with excuses because I don't want to be here. And unfortunately, I had to go through special ed from grade 2 to grade 8 that I personally didn't need. And that's not just my opinion. I've had multiple other students my grade and younger and older who've all said, like, we don't know why you're in that class. You seem just as smart, if not smarter than we are, you know. But unfortunately, not being an adult, I had no influence on that at all. That, however, influenced what I was able to take in high school, which of course influences what you could probably go to college for. And I figured my only way around that was to go through school again and then go through college. And then I just, with all this, and then I had a lot of other social issues and a lot of other medical issues and a lot of other things that contributed to depression and possibly PTSD from a very young age, which all influenced, like, I mean, if you've had to deal with PTSD or depression, like serious depression and not just, oh, I'm having a bad day, then you probably understand that sometimes that really influences how your mind works or how motivated you are to keep going sometimes. And I'm sure many of you have been through this. But I kept hopeful through it all. I got my first job by grade 8. Uh, by grade 9, I had another job. By grade 11, I was doing two jobs on top of high school, as well as doing side jobs on my own. Because I've been gardening and landscaping for a lot of my life. So I often do help other people, and it's one of the businesses I am actually trying to start. Is I'd like to start up a landscaping business because I do have a lot of experience gardening and landscaping. I've worked for two different landscaping companies, as well as on my own gardening and yard work, of course. Um, but like, I'd like to use that experience to actually start a business. Um, and as many of you could probably imagine, it's been hard because, like, I am working full time to help finance this, but I've been trying to save up for a vehicle because I used to have a truck once upon a time, but it was an older truck and it was breaking down. And before I got the chance to fix it, unfortunately, it was scrapped on me without my knowledge. And so now I don't really have a vehicle I can use. So I do side jobs here and there still. And I do try making a few extra bucks to save up to help, you know, save up for a vehicle. But it seems like every time I've got money, something comes up and it all gets drained. My roommates, unfortunately, they're on disability, so they don't make a much. So I pay a good majority of the bills, and they pay a bit too. I'm not saying I'm carrying the whole load, but as a lot of you can imagine, you know, it's hard to live on your own these days. But it's even harder to save money even when you have roommates. And in my scenario, it's been rather difficult. I've been saving for a vehicle for at least 3 or 4 years now, and just nothing's going my way. And then I get blamed for a couple of things that are never my fault. That's happened a few times. And it's frustrating. But this is part of the reason I wanted to actually start a YouTube channel, to start spreading a bit of my knowledge to other people who might be interested in learning. So if you're interested in music or medical science, or if you're interested in gardening or any of that type of thing, I'd highly suggest you follow along here because I do a lot of that type of stuff. I also tell a couple of funny stories and I want to get into storytelling. I might start a backyard wrestling league, although I am having a difficulty finding other people who'd be interested in that. I found one other person, but try finding a backyard wrestling league with 2 people. Not going to be easy, right? But like, I guess part of the reason I wanted to do this was to also hopefully get monetized so I can make a couple of dollars off YouTube and mostly spread my knowledge, right? That was a big part. And I'm gonna come up with some more gardening videos soon once things start going. And uh, but you know, for those of you who have liked and subscribed, I appreciate it. To anybody who likes and subscribes from this video, I appreciate it. Um, but I am also starting of thinking of doing a bit of print on demand possibly for both my YouTube channel and my Facebook groups, because there's 2 Facebook groups I've started and I'm running, and then there's one that I'm an admin in that I'm helping run. I might even probably not going to do much with that because it's not my group. I might associate with that group and the creator and the other admins, and maybe if they want, I can start printing on demand for them and split the profit from those sales to them, if that's something you're interested in. Um, so, but I mean, I'd also like to, come on to another few ventures online, but, you know, I'll, and if I do start the print on demand stuff, I'll definitely make another video on that for sure. But, if you'd like and subscribe, it would really be well appreciated, because, the more subscribers and views I get, the more it adds up on YouTube, and maybe this can become a small little stream of income for me too. And of course, I'm not aiming to be a billionaire. I don't really want to drive a Lamborghini. I don't really need, a 50-room mansion. I don't need 500 acres of land. But a real reason I do want to start a landscaping business, because I mean, there's been a few popping up, but I would like to start a few throughout the valley and have them spread a bit, right? Like I'd like to start mine, and I would probably focus more, I think, on the eastern Ottawa Valley. But then, as I start getting more customers, maybe hire a supervisor, so like an employee or two, and train them up on what I know, so maybe they can become supervisors. Because what I would like to do is make it work. Because, like, yes, I'd like to start a business. I'm not gonna lie, I would love to start a business, but to help society around me. And I know landscaping seems like a lame way to do that, but hear me out before you leave. Because what I'd like to do is really help those who are struggling, like myself, make their way up and actually have a better chance at getting somewhere. And I know not everybody's looking for a landscaping position, but for those who are, I'd love to train them up to the knowledge I have. And then maybe they could be a supervisor, and they can, suppose, you know, one supervisor can deal with Ottawa itself. And then maybe I could have a supervisor that deals with my town, and then one further down the Renfrew County. Maybe have one that goes out to Pembroke, and then that way I can have like supervisors running a crew in that area without having so much pressure on themselves, but still getting a better paycheck than they might have before. And then once they get used to working through that, maybe I can, you know, make it where I can help them start a business in their area in landscaping from my knowledge, from my business, giving them the tools and truck they need, yada yada. And as it starts to spread and, income becomes a little more uh, helpful, another aspiration and dream I've had was to actually help people in the sake of food. Because let's be honest, we all need to eat something. With the rising costs, whether it's food, rent, hydro, your car insurance, house insurance. We all have bills and nothing's getting cheaper. So, if this business were to get off the ground, I would like to actually either, not rent out land, but you know what I'm saying? Like rent out plots to start growing even more food that I wouldn't otherwise be able to grow on my own property. And then I can start donating that to local food banks. Or I have an online Facebook group called the Ottawa Valley Gardens and Games Bartering Group. I'd probably barter a bit there, but I'd also give some off to some who might not be as well off. I mean, I'm personally living in the housing district myself, if I'm being honest, so I'm sure a lot of my neighbors would appreciate that too. Um, but I mean, maybe it could even get to the point where I'm even buying smaller plots of land, maybe in my town or up the valley or in Ottawa, where I can even make bigger plots to grow even more food. Because as you grow, you can start saving seeds and it multiplies, especially when you're composting, right? And I want to factor that all in, right? And if that aspect grew well enough, it'd be great to even start like local grocery stores that start selling fresh produce and perhaps I can make deals with local people who have chickens and eggs or milk or farms or who also grow and make it so then I can sell produce to local areas without these ridiculous prices, right? Because like if you budget properly, if you try to keep your employees not to a minimum, but like don't overextend your employees because that's what a lot of business will do. Because a lot of people think of, oh well, if you have X amount of employees, then you get tax blah 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 and breaks and blah 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 from the government because they're getting taxes from your employees and blah blah blah. Like I'm not trying to be that guy. Like I'd rather the businesses work proficiently and effectively with, of course, I'm not going to undercut staff either. You want to have enough staff so then people can have days off or use sick days, or actually you need enough employees to obviously function as a business. But you know what I'm saying? This isn't a plan for me to become some rich millionaire off of the backs of those of you working. Like the landscaping business, I'd like to work people up to supervisors and future owners so they can have a chance to do what I'd like to do. To make yes, I'd like to make a few extra dollars. I'm not going to lie, because I'm making a little over minimum wage. Like, I'm not going to discuss an exact amount. I am making a bit over minimum wage, but it's not $30-40 an hour. Like I'm not making rich people money. I'm not. But that's why I'm kind of calling out to you guys. I'm hoping maybe a few of you will like and subscribe. When I do start the print on demand, I will make another video for that, but I'm hoping that can possibly work out. If this is something you'd be interested in, please comment down below. If not, we all have opinions. I know as many of you, we're all trying to save money. So I wouldn't be offended if that's not something you're into. I'm in the same boat. I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around to just throw out cups and shirts. I get it. So like I'm not offended by that. But um, the least if you could like and subscribe, it'd make a huge difference. I want to get back into comedy videos. I'm gonna get back into musical videos. I hurt my pinky recently, so it's still a little numb, and I'm hoping I can get back into playing the guitar and banjo and bass. Um, and I am hoping my groups will grow a bit, but for those of you who stuck around this long, I know I've been rambling a bit. I do appreciate you sticking along. And I'm probably going to end her here because, it's been over 20 minutes since I've been talking to you, and I normally don't make videos this long. I don't like wasting your time anymore like that. Bleh. I don't like wasting your time any more than I like wasting mine. Sorry. And So for those of you who stuck around this long, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who would like a certain song played, or if you have any questions on gardening or medical science or even anything else, because maybe I can help you out with a video, or I could do a bit of research myself and make a video, or I'll just let you know I don't honestly know. But every like and subscribe would be well appreciated. Every share is well appreciated. So thank you all for following along, and I guess I'll let you go. Take care, guys. Have an awesome day. Almost forgot to mention in this ridiculously long video of mine. As I said, I don't normally make videos this long, but for any of you who do help me out by liking them, subscribing, or in the future, if you do end up buying some of my print on demand, for example, feel free to comment down below. Let me know where you're from. I would like to actually spread it throughout Canada if it spreads that well, where I can start businesses across Canada to help other people out, not only get a job, but maybe actually have a real chance of, moving up in the world rather than just, here's minimum wage for the rest of your life for $25 an hour. I'd like to actually give people chances. So feel free to comment down below where you're from, or send me an email to ottawavalleyvibes@outlook.com. If you'd like to tell me your story, or where you're from, or how I could help your area if I do go that far out, and if this does actually go somewhere. Because as much as I'd like to be successful, successful to me is also helping other people. It's not about me driving a Lamborghini. It's not about me owning 500 acres. It's not about me having a fancy big mansion. You're not going to see me in 10 or 20 years on YouTube being like, oh, look at these 10 fancy cars I have. Look at this big house I have. I'm living a big luxurious life. That's not me. I don't want to be big, great, and beyond. Yes, it'd be nice to have a nice vehicle. It doesn't have to be 150,000. I don't need a Bugatti. I don't need a Lamborghini. A tap in that and you're angry, right? I heard this one story on the radio of somebody who bought a Lamborghini, literally made it a few blocks from the parking lot, or it was a fancy car like that. I'm pretty sure it was a Lamborghini. And within a couple of blocks, got sideswiped at an intersection, car rolling off. A vehicle is to drive you around. It doesn't have to look fancy and nice, and I know a lot of us would love to have a nice and fancy car, and I mean, once in a while I think it crosses all of our minds, but that's not what I personally am looking for. So, to any of you who do support me along my dream and, would like your chance to get further ahead as well, let me know where you're from. And maybe one day, if this does catch on, I can get you out there too. Because I'm genuinely just trying to help other people. I'm not one of those scab artists you see on the internet and, oh, sign up down below and give me your email and your credit card information and I will help you. No, I'm not that guy. Like, I'm trying to help others get further ahead, not just myself. You know what I'm saying? This isn't just, a multimedia scheme that's, oh, help me out and maybe you could be one of the 10%. No, I'm not that guy. I genuinely do want to help as many people as I can. Because I know there's people who can't afford to even be housed, and that's a sad reality in most countries, if not all. Like, I genuinely just want to help, so for every one of you who actually joins my cause, I would like to help back someday. So feel free to comment down below or send me an email. Thanks a lot, guys? Take care.